Everything, everything gonna be all right this morning.
All right, we are locked and loaded, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in action. Another one for the archives because it's me speaking to you. And joining us today, man, ever faithful, man. I've been rocking with this guy for several years now. It came to, this goes back to the Conspiracy Farm days, man. My man TimJames, he is the CEO of Chemical Free Body. He's one of those like to call altruistic agents of alchemy, right? He gives so much of himself. And no, he's not transmuting lead into gold, but he's absolutely spending years transforming the quality of people's lives through his education and through his products he provides at Chemical Free Body. TimJames, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, happy to be here. Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. It's been a hot minute, brother. We got to catch up. Obviously, I follow your show. He has a podcast, and we're going to put all the links in the description of this episode here. What you been up to, man?
More of the same, continuing to find anything that I can to increase my energy, to sleep better, improve my air quality, my water quality, the frequency of foods. As you know, I sprout a lot. I grow a lot of sprouted nuts, seeds, grains, beans. We've started a regenerative farm, an educational farm. That's underway right now. Very excited about that. A sustainable food forest, and then learning how to do things, creating our own power and off-grid. That's all in the works.
Nice.
So very excited about that. But Chemical Free Body is going strong. We're coaching people and helping them transform their health. And that's the key thing, is that we help people transform their health. We don't do it. We lead, we guide, and we just show you the stuff that we figured out, that I figured out over the last 14 years. When I first figured out that there were toxic, poisonous ingredients in almost all processed food that's in the grocery stores, that we go work our butts off, we leave our families, and many people are paying taxes on that money that we earn that just goes to pay interest on the national debt, which I'm sure all of us signed up for all the things they've spent money on. And then what's left over, we go buy some groceries, and then 4,300 people a day are dying from those purchases. Processed foods are killing 4,300 people a day in the United States, and we're paying for poison. And we don't know it. And I go get some chicken strips and they're yummy. I eat my pizza and it's great. I tell you, I love it, and I have my JoJo's and I dip it in ranch sauce. And, it's like, I had no idea that those potatoes, I'm in Northeast Oregon, grown over here in Idaho, that, not only were the soil tilled and the microbiome that create all the life and bring the nutrients into the plant are killed, but also, they spray them with chemicals, and then they put them in these massive, huge barns that are sealed, and they spray these other gases and stuff in them to retard their growth, and they also radiate the potato, right?
Wow.
So it's called de-spudding. So they radiate it, because what happens if you remember when your mom or whatever, they've got a big bag of taters and they throw it under the cupboard, and what grows out of those taters, right?
Yeah.
They're starting to grow. They're going to become a bush and make more potatoes, right? Because they're evolving. So they nuclear zap them like the Hulk. And believe me, you don't turn into the Hulk. You get weak. And so you have radiated potatoes, and then they're cut and processed and cooked at high temperatures and put in seed oils and blah blah. And of those foods that I mentioned earlier, the chicken strips and the other stuff and that I was eating, I'm just talking about one thing. So I went down these rabbit holes on what the hell was I eating, because I thought the FDA was protecting me because my tax dollars were going to that, but my tax dollars, well, not one dime of it goes there. No. It's all going to the interest on the national debt for bankers. So when I found this stuff out and I stopped eating processed foods, I started healing my digestive tract, and I completely healed myself. I went to fresh food. So you remember that was my very beginning into it. And since then, what I've been doing is like, what else have I been lied to about?
Right.
So I started looking at the air quality in my home and found out that the paints were off gassing for 4.5 years. So like, you have a new baby boy or a new baby girl, and like, let's paint the room blue. Let's paint the room pink. You just poisoned your child for 4.5 years from those paints off gassing, even if it's VOC free. They bullshit people. Yeah. There's other toxins in there. I learned that from Andy Pace over at the Green Design Center. They have non-toxic building materials. He's the original OG on like non-toxic building materials. And I've had him on my show a couple times. And so, this is what I've been up to. It's like, and what I do is I've created a really great environment for myself. And because my environment's awesome, my health just keeps getting more awesome. And I'm 52 years old. I'm still outrunning my 25 and 22-year-old sons on the trail. My youngest son's a little faster than I am now, so I kind of have to live with that. But he finally beat me in a sprint, and I was like, dang it, I got to train more. But anyway, that's what I've been up to, and now it's about getting this message out to people so that you can self-govern yourself. You can become your own doctor. You can self-heal just like I have, and we supply a lot of. And the cool thing is a lot of the stuff is free. Getting outside and getting sunshine, connecting with Mother Earth, and having grounding and stuff like that.
Yes.
There's a lot
we talked about this before, man. As much as people become aware, I mean, not everybody's gonna. I was just talking to a friend literally today. I always marvel when I drive past a McDonald's and it's still 10, 15 cars deep in the drive-through. I mean, there's just some people.
After the documentary Supersize Me, that movie, I thought after that played, nobody would ever go there again. But they're busier than ever.
And that guy passed away not too long ago. But yeah, I mean, it's again, I think we've talked about this before. But
the guy that did that passed away?
I believe
wasn't
so.
The
guy
he
who did
Morgan or something?
I believe so. A couple years ago.
Wow.
But I mean, I think, there's certain people we're not ever going to reach, I think, and you're going to reach. But I think the diligence in which you've gone after this, let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. And like you said, what else are they lying about? Because me personally, I mean, I'm watching this play out. You're watching it play out, seeing the same shit. This symbiotic relationship. I want to get your thoughts on this, obviously. The symbiotic relationship between this commercial food industry, which is supposed to feed us, which is actually poisoning us, and then the revolving door of those guys getting us sick, and then we move into the pharmaceutical industry, which is supposed to treat us, but also poisons us and keeps us sick. And a lot of these companies have, partial ownership, the kind of crossing of the streams, the ag industry plus the pharmaceutical industry. It's this symbiotic relationship, which, like, again, gets us sick and keeps us sick. And I think we don't quite understand what you just kind of articulated. We have become victims. We are victims of chemical and biological warfare from the people who are supposed to be looking out for us. And the rabbit hole goes deep. I mean, it's called eugenics, basically, but the rabbit hole goes very deep. Your thoughts, sir, on that symbiotic relationship between the commercial?
Well, the whole thing is like, okay, it is what it is. And some people listening are not going to believe what I've learned, and other people talking about this stuff, and that's okay. I actually, not to be in condescending or anything like that, I don't care. I mean, I do care about everybody, and I want the best for everybody, all the working class people that are suffering from all these issues and these chemicals and toxins and stuff. But we're kind of voluntarily signing up for it unknowingly. So when because I know that I have to give this message out, period, because it's my highest excitement. It's my joy. It's my passion. I have to put the message out. I don't really care if anybody gets it. I don't. It's not up to me, but I do know that I have to put it out there. But there's going to be somebody on the other end that is going to receive it. And I'll just give you an example today. It was, let me just pull this up. So, Dan, of my podcast, TimJames Unleashed, I had episode 87. This is a long time ago because we're up in the 270s. Dan and Ashley's journey, healing their son's autism. Okay? Healing their son's autism. So, these guys, he's a canine police officer, and his wife's a hairstylist. They have a baby boy. Everything's fine. Then they have another baby boy. Everything's fine. He gets the jab, and then boom, spirals down and is completely autistic, stops talking, and what they said was our life was a living hell for 4 years. And the medical community, we believe, caused that problem, and they said there's nothing we can do. And, nobody's taking acceptance on that, obviously. But so they got so frustrated that Dan's like, well, screw it. I'm going to figure this out myself. So what did he do? He goes, I started listening to podcasts, everything I could hear. And so we heard that, getting our child off dairy could help. So we did. And he got a little bit better. And then we heard that getting him off of wheat and gluten would help. And they did. And the child got a little bit better. And they heard that putting good probiotics into his gut would help. And they did. And he got a little bit better. And then he started listening to podcasts and found out about like heavy metal poisoning, especially like the aluminum, right? and the aluminum adjuvants and the thimerosal and the things that are in the vaccinations.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, I have to chelate. I need to clean out the heavy metals in my son. And so he started doing all this research on natural herbs that can chelate things out of people, right? And so he's doing all this deep research and looking up all these herbs. And he happened to be a customer of ours, which was really cool. So he was already a customer. So he does all this research. He's about ready to go start buying these herbs for his son. And guess what he was taking? He was taking our toxin detox product. And guess what's in it? It chelators and these herbs. And he said almost all the herbs that I looked up were in there and a whole bunch more, right? So we have zeolite in there, and a very special zeolite that's actually been cleaned, because many of these zeolites have heavy metals. And for those that are not familiar, is that zeolites are formed when lava hits, molten lava hits water. It spins the positive charge on the metals and makes it negative. So it's like a basket. It's attracted to the heavy metals and the leads and the mercuries and the cadmiums and the nickels. Well, Dr. Treadway, a former Marine, the formulator of this, built this for depleted uranium poisoning. But it also works on toxic chemicals and heavy metals. So that was awesome. It's got cilantro powder, apple pectin, shilajit, tulsi, camu berry, which is a vitamin C, ashwagandha, Terminalia arjuna bark, turmeric, rice bran, milk thistle, dulse, which is an organic seaweed, Bacopa monnieri, which is also, it's a leaf. It's also good for memory, and it helps improve children's, like, in kids' college test scores and kind of stuff like that. Red clover, garlic, alfalfa, green tea, ginger, yellow dock. It's got a whole bunch of awesome stuff in it. He took one of the capsules, and again, I'm not a doctor. He did this on his own, because it's 3 capsules of real food herbs. He took one capsule of it, started putting it into his son's little smoothie thing, and giving it to him, and in 30 days, his son spoke again, and in 6 months, complete full recovery. Right? But they changed. They got him off the wheat. They got him off the dairy. They got him on the blah, blah, blah. And so what happened was I just had Dr. Andrew Wakefield on my show. And that episode just went out earlier this week. And he was the guy who was the gastroenterologist over in Europe that came over here to the States. They took his license away. He became because he was pushing against finding out what was causing autism with vaccines. He was doing all this research, and they said, you better stop, or we're not going to give you funding. And they took his funding, then he took his license. But he's been able to change millions of lives. Well, this morning, guess who texted me? Dan Claxton. This is years later. Okay, we're years later now since we helped Dan, and he helped himself. And he said, "Hey, dude, I'm reading the text right now. I'm listening to the Dr. Wakefield interview now, and just wanted to reach out and thank you for keeping autism awareness and healing going. Hearing our story with Grant, their son, brought up so much joy knowing that it may help others." And I just told him thank you and said, hey, you guys are awesome parents. You did the work. You know, I just brought one little piece to the puzzle, or a couple little pieces. You guys did all the work. You're the ones that healed your son. And that's awesome. And thank you for being awesome. And then he said, 100%. Sometimes it takes a village. Tim, your journey and your refusal to accept poor health, and this, because my health was, for those of you that are new, listen to me, I had terrible health. I was pooping blood, and I had to be life flighted. My gut was terrible, skin issues, cracking and bleeding. I was a mess, mental fog, all this stuff. So, Tim, your journey to refusal to accept poor health and the status quo rippled out into my kiddo's journey. But now, because of that, we got my little dude's life back. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And so,
see,
we get this stuff.
Part I'm talking about. You're transforming.
We get this shit all the time.
Yeah.
All the time now. And it's just like, I was crying this morning, and I read this to another friend today, actually my web developer, and he let go of another client. He's like, I just want to focus more on what you're doing with your company. And I said, dude, listen to this. He's like, dude, yeah, this is more meaningful than just selling some products.
Yeah.
He goes, I love your products because they actually really make a difference in life, and you won't compromise anything. We will never compromise.
I did want to clarify. I mean, it's not just the products. Like with this case, with this young man, they had to switch up his diet in addition to. So it's not just the supplementation.
It's a lifestyle. You have to change your lifestyle, yes, right? Exactly. If you have problems going on, you have to look at everything. And I know it's overwhelming at the beginning, but that's why we do the free education. You know, I just talked to, I don't know, do you know who Mel K is?
Yeah.
Okay, I just got on the phone with her. She's one of my coaching clients. Brand new, just onboarded her. She's coming on. And what was I gonna say? Well, she's like no energy right now. Right? And we're gonna help her out. And I'm excited about it, right? But she's gonna have to do the work, right? She's gonna have to do the work. And when she gets well, because that's what I was gonna say is we also have coaching. So we have a lot of free stuff. We have the free podcast where people can come learn. I don't know if you knew this, but my inner circles that I lead every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, those are a paid for program. If people are now on our products, on our subscribe and save, where they're saving money on our products, the ones they like, they now get the coaching for free. So I'm trying to make it so people can get the education, because you have to get educated on what is this stuff? Why do I need to do grounding? Yeah. Why do I need clean air? Why does my body need purified water? Why should I eat living, clean foods? Why should I be careful of the clothing I wear? Why should I only wear natural fiber clothing? Because if you don't know and you're busy and your belief systems are different, and they're obviously different because you're probably wearing synthetic clothes like I use, and acrylics. And that's
something you can't necessarily minimize or overlook. The largest organ in the human body is your skin. So like you said, why does clothes matter? Because if you're wearing something with synthetic stuff in the detergent, that's getting into your skin. Like you said, the air is getting
if people have heard of microplastics, right? Every time you wash that shirt, here's the deal. There's studies been done that even after 1,000 washes, those polyesters, which are basically off-gassing synthetic chemicals, they're still off-gassing 97% of what they were after 1,000 washes as they did when they were brand new. Why? Because from the outside to the core of the fiber, it's the same shit. It's plastic. It's off-gassing toxic chemicals. And these are disrupting hormones. Women that are wearing Lycra bras are much higher chances of cancer. The guys, even guys that are wearing cotton shorts, but they're not completely unsprayed organic type stuff, right? The cotton is the second most sprayed crop in the world, behind sugarcane, which we're mostly eating. People are eating sugar beets and sugarcane. And so, like, your nutsack is being bathed in cotton that was sprayed in toxic chemicals. Again, off-gassing. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, these microplastics from drinking out of plastic bottles and wearing plastic clothing, because that's what polyester and Lycra and microfiber is. It's plastic. It's like drinking out of a plastic bottle because there's moisture in your body. You're giving off heat and your sweat, and you're distressed. So these, and women that have Lycra bras on, up goes the breast cancer. The bigger the breast and an underwire, where there's more pressure, up goes more things of breast cancer. And I'm seeing, dude, 2 years ago, I was down here in the river, and I looked over, and I thought I saw like a 14-year-old girl in the middle of the day at the park with her breasts out. And I was like, I did a double take, and she wasn't that far away from me. I was like, whoa. And then I looked, and it was a boy. And he had breasts, like freaking breasts. And it's because of these estrogen mimicking chemicals, these hormones. They're coming in from your Glade air freshener to the clothing that you're wearing to drinking out of plastic bottles and all this stuff. So it gets overwhelming, like I'm saying, but how do you stop drinking out of plastic bottles? Well, it's easy. You get a mason jar. Done. Okay, now you've changed your lifestyle right there. Stop buying. It's just like that. Stop buying things in plastic bottles. Stop doing it.
Because like you're asking people to, again, it is a kind of big leap, especially the older you get. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, like to adjust your lifestyle. But as you present it, and I think we're becoming more aware of it now, and kind of like I was just alluding to earlier, we're all kind of victims of this chemical and biological warfare. The toxins everywhere. It's so ubiquitous, brother. One of our first conversations, you absolutely blew my mind, and remind us, if you will, how many toxins and metals are in our umbilical cord when we're born.
Well, that's what got me to start the company. I was trying to find out, I was learning about how bad it is, and I typed in 3 words. I typed in my browser, and you guys can do this after the show, umbilical cord chemical. Just type in umbilical cord chemical. You'll see the studies that I saw went back to 2005. They look for 400 toxic chemicals, right? And they find 71% of what they're looking for, 250 toxic. And we're talking about the blood in the womb of young mothers and babies, and the umbilical cord blood, right? So the most precious cargo in the world is already polluted. And 180 of those 250 toxins cause cancer. 112 cause developmental and brain disorders. This is in the womb.
Right.
I actually have an ebook I wrote called Dying in the Womb, and it explains all this stuff.
We're
And that's when I
born
sat back in my
toxic.
chair and I was like, oh my God, we are all polluted. And the thing is, Jeffrey, is that the older we are, the more time we've had to bioaccumulate these toxins from the air we breathe, the water we drink out of the plastic bottles, the food we eat. It doesn't even have to be plastic anymore because glyphosate's in 72% of rainwater, by the way. Food we eat, the clothing we wear, the personal care products, the makeups, the shampoos. I mean, if your shampoo says sodium lauryl sulfate, that's a known carcinogen, cancer causer. If your toothpaste says harmful if swallowed, please contact the Poison Control Center. You may want to rethink putting that shit in your mouth anymore. Same thing with mouth rinse. And I don't know if you know this, but we have a mouth rinse and a toothpaste now infused with triple action nano silver. And if you accidentally swallow our mouth rinse or toothpaste, it boosts your immune system. How about that?
You graciously sent me a nice package of some of your new stuff, and that toothpaste was in there, dude. Absolutely. I dig it.
Yeah, it heals gums, it heals the teeth, it remineralizes the teeth, it strengthens. It does what a toothpaste should do.
Something you just mentioned, and I don't want to get too everywhere, but you just mentioned something about rainwater. You're all about self-sufficiency. Let food be thy medicine, medicine by the food. Grow your own stuff. And if you're doing it with the best, you got the best seeds, you got the best soil, etc., but you're still getting rained on with garbage. I mean, is there any way to, you almost have to have your own greenhouse almost to complete.
Well, yeah, we have 2 greenhouses planned out, and we're going to be doing that. But the reality is we got very fortunate because I met a guy named Joseph, and he's brilliant. He's like a Tesla. I mean, he's really smart, dude. It's like, I have a hard time talking to him because he's, I'm like, whoa, dude, slow down, because if I don't understand this, nobody else is. So I've spent
on this too, so that's saying something.
I've spent 2 years on this stuff, and apologize if I talk over somebody's head, because I don't mean to, because I'm not very book smart. I'm just like common sense smart, right? And I try to learn things.
So for you too, this is what you do.
Yeah, but what we had was, and I'm passionate about it, right? So I have this guy. He's got this water device, and we sell him now. We call him the Water Hero. And it's H3RO. It's a whole nother phase of water. We all have only one of 2 companies in the entire world that have certified structured water devices that actually make the water and structure it in sacred geometry and change the bond angle, because most of the bond angles have been messed with man messing with it and high pressure pipes and all this stuff and all the things that man does to the water that we drink. It takes that 105.4 degree bond angle and it restructures it back to that natural, sacred 120 degree hexagonal geometry, like a beehive or a wasp nest, that hexagonal shape. And it also restructures the minerals. Now, that water, we're not sure what's going on. We have samples going to Ohio State University right now to test, because we've done our own tests. And I've actually had some other labs do tests too. But we've added Roundup to the soil. And then we treated the soil with regular water versus the structured water through the Water Hero. And somehow the Water Hero we're not sure if it's happening with the water touching the glyphosate or if it's activating bacterium that are killing the glyphosate, but it's destroying glyphosate. So on the farm here,
just because you mentioned something about the geometry of it, does that have something corresponding with the frequency, which might be the...
Of course.
Okay. I mean, just because,
of course,
I don't want to gloss over that.
And this is actually what's cool about it is this device is not plugged in. It's copper, antimicrobial copper and brass shell, wrapped in a Ormus coating of seawater, morning dew water, ash, and it's a plant resin. And this is actually imprinting the frequency of minerals into the water through the copper as it goes by, which is really cool. But inside are these water harmonizing crystals out of Brazil. So this, like I said, this genius guy gets these crystals. They're at a specific frequency. Then he sends them to India. He gets them cut at a certain way, and then he puts them into the unit a certain way. And then when water passes through it, the resonance of the harmony of the crystals, the way they're cut, and the way they're set up in the system, when they go through, it literally creates what's called an endothermic reaction, which means it's bringing energy from the ether. This is not plugged in. This isn't plugged into anything. It's just an inline unit. We also have a handheld you can pour it through, which we can't even keep the handhelds in stock. Like, as soon as they show up every week, they're gone within a day or two. Like, just gone. Because word's getting out. And so, because people want structured water. They want God water. They want that water that was naturally in nature. And there's other ways to get it for free, and I'll show you how. But But it's just a little bit different. You can get structured water just by putting chia seeds in water or making flax water. Or if you eat vegetables, the water inside of vegetables is structured through nature, like most of the water inside of you. It's not liquid just flowing around. It's in a gel-like state.
Interesting.
Anyway, but when it goes through, it creates this endothermic reaction. So when you test the temperature of the water going in versus the temperature of the water going out, it's actually colder on the other side. How is that happening? I don't know. There's energy being transferred into that water. So not only is the water restructuring, and not only is the device restructuring the minerals in it, because a lot of people could be drinking good spring water, but if it's got too many inorganic minerals in it, it's going to cause hardening of the arteries, gallstones, and kidney stones, right? So by doing this, you're eliminating, and you're taking things like calcite and aragonite forms of calcium, and you're converting them to vaterite, which is scientifically not supposed to happen. But if you go to the website, we have pictures showing that it does. And so we have three things right now that happening with this water system that flies in the face of science that is not supposed to happen. We actually had an orchard down in California, lemon and avocado orchard, and we got 40 acres of the 400 acres, cut out the pipe, inserted a 3-inch agricultural unit of the Water Hero technology, and just watered the trees with it. A month later, tested the plant tissue and sap sample analysis, and the nutrition in those trees went up 100 to 150%, and there was no fertilizer added. It was just the water, but this was the exciting thing that we weren't expecting. The toxic aluminum we've been sprayed with, all those chemtrails and stuff, dude, the aluminum in the tree tissue in 1 month dropped 400%.
Interesting.
It's like, boom. And there's one other thing that's, I have it in my notes. I haven't even started studying that thing yet because it's amazing. But 3 things, dude, that are flying. It's like saying, okay, we all know gravity, but now Jeffrey and Tim are flying around like Superman. Okay, this is the level of the shit that's happening with this water system. And that's why we can't keep them in stock, because people use it. And then microgreens, the plants are doubling growth. Like the blight issue on those lemons are just, it's like 70% gone within a couple months. And you could look at the trees and the lemons with the blight, all the lemons are small and they got kind of rotting on the tree, where the lemons that were treated with the water are still big and green and growing and hard. They haven't even got to the ripening phase yet.
Let me ask you something. I mean, you've been.
It's so exciting, dude. It's
well,
I just can't.
I met you. I forget when you exactly started your company. When I met you, because we started the farm about 10 years ago, and we met not too long after that. Just checking the temperature on the growth of your business, and not just the growth of the business, but the awareness. How much more inundated are you getting? Obviously, you're getting more from day one till now, but like, is it so overwhelmingly dope that like people are just waking up to how bad the water, the food, the air, the soil is?
Yeah, I would say we're I got rid of all these crappy marketing companies too that just suck the money and the life out of you, and they don't really do anything. So we brought everything in house. We're just doing it ourselves. And because, and not to say there might not be some good marketing companies out there, but we just have never met one. If anybody listening actually knows one, I might be interested, but it would be on a rev share agreement, because I'm not paying anybody anything. If you're that good, the question is like, why aren't you selling your own products? Why do you need to go sell somebody else's? So it just doesn't really make sense to me. But anyway, our business is growing, and we do that through education and results. So we just slowly keep helping people one person at a time. We have our private coaching program. We have the group coaching program, which is now we're giving access for free for people that are patronizing us and getting good quality products that actually make a difference. And the podcast is free for people to get educated. And I mean, I've had doctors and nurses tell me they've learned more when I listen to my podcast for 2 years than medical school or nursing school.
When again, it's not about the products, but the growth of your business is obviously been exponential as people become more aware. And again, I don't want to focus on the products necessarily, but I want this answer to this question to be indicative.
Well, the products are just part of the toolkit of what we teach.
I just wanted to know, because it's grown so much. What are some of your top sellers now? You just alluded to the water system back in the day.
Still the greens,
super green,
the greens, the nutrition, gut detox, because the average person's got 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon, and we got these black, brown, viscous mucoid plaques lining the small intestine. That stuff's got to get out of there. Like, if your engine's all gummed up, how well is it going to run? And the gut detox product, that's an ancient formula from India. This isn't something like new. This is time tested for 5,000 years plus. Like Dr. Treadway was like, he studied in India and under these gurus over there in Ayurvedic traditional medicine. And he's like, every single client that came in is on everyone, no matter what their problem was, they have them on that gut detox formula. Toxin detox that we talked about earlier because of all the heavy metals, radiation, pollution. We have everybody getting on that. We have probiotic spores and prebiotics. And by the way, most people don't know this. People are paying a lot of money for prebiotics. That's the food that feeds the bacterium in your gut. Almost every single one of our products, like gut detox, like toxin detox, alpha energy, all of our capsule formulas, we use prebiotics as our flow agent to encapsulate the machines. Other people use magnesium stearate, silicon dioxide, dicalcium phosphates, things that are toxic, that block absorption of nutrients. Like silicon dioxide's a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list, yet it's in most supplements. Check your labels, people. Check your freaking labels. We use prebiotics as our flow agent. So we use a slower encapsulation process. So it's not for speed of production for money. It gets it done. And so all of our products are actually, people are getting prebiotics for free. But the probiotics and prebiotics it's in there. We have that Alpha Energy product. We haven't even marketed it yet. But I just had another friend. It takes 6 to 9 months to ramp up your testosterone, but it works for women too, to balance their hormones. I just had a guy who's 48 years old. He's been on the formula for a year. Just got his testosterone taken. It's 1368. And he hasn't done anything else. And his doctor's like, dude, this is not supposed to be this high.
And the normal range is for a gentleman that age?
Well, I mean, they don't even see that. You know, they're not seeing that. I had another guy who was Mr. Oregon. And I was coaching him, and I went over to his house, and I saw the injectables, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, you're taking your testosterone. I said, hey man, if you're putting that stuff into your body, you're literally handicapping yourself. Okay. You're literally handicapping yourself because your body's going to say, oh, I don't need to make testosterone anymore because I'm getting it somewhere else. So stop production. And you're going to be hooked on that stuff for the rest of your life, giving yourself injections. Whereas this stuff stimulates the natural precursors to make your own testosterone. So the typical range for adult males is somewhere about 300 to 1,000, and so he was at 1368, and he's 48, and your testosterone at age 28 starts dropping about 1 or something like that, 1 or 2% a year or something like that. So it's going down, 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 down. So not for him.
Something you mentioned, which again blew me away, and I've gotten more up to speed on it. Gut health, man. You had said there's more serotonin produced in the gut than in the brain, which I found fascinating. But just talk to me about gut health and the balance of the bacteria in the gut and how it's so hugely responsible for a lot of other, basically homeostasis, essentially.
Well, we have roughly 60 trillion bacterium in the body, in the gut, and these ancient bacterium have been on this planet for 1 billion years. It's like ants and aphids, right? They work together in a symbiotic relationship. Our body is like 360 trillion cells. It's like there's a lot of cells, and we're actually, there's only 6 trillion human cells in our Earth suit, if you want, our body. Mm-hmm. So we're actually more bacterium than we are human by cell count. So let that sink in a little bit. So these ancient bacterium in our gut are communicating to our brain. In fact, I think the gut is the main brain, right? That's what my belief is. And so it's critical that we learn how to become good stewards of our digestive tract and those good bacterium in there. Just like farmers, a farmer's goal should be to have the highest quality, highest counts of microbes in their soil. Whatever a farmer can do to increase the wild nature and the growth factor of mycelium and bacterium in the soil should be their main focus. And what do you have to do that? You stop tilling. You stop spraying with chemicals. You stop doing all this stuff. And well, you can't do that. The nematodes, and I've tried. And it's like, okay, well, there's other farmers that are doing it. You just haven't put it together yet. You don't have, and there's plenty of people now. That's why we're creating this educational regenerative farm to teach the farmers in my valley to do this so we can stop the chemicals. Because I watched 2 years ago a cloud of chemicals float on a south wind right over the top of my neighbor's 2 and 4 year old children. And I'm like, I've got to stop this. And so now I'm on a mission to do that. So it's a whole nother thing besides Chemical Free Body is creating this farm, educational farm. So what's exciting is that there's solutions. And if you look at like somebody's work, like Dr. Reuter, or no, he wasn't a doctor, excuse me, he was a microbiologist. His name is Reuter. And in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, he was studying the gastrointestinal tract and checking microbiome, these bacterium. And he noticed that in the 60s, all of a sudden, they started disappearing. Well, what happened in the 60s? After World War II, the chemical companies needed to stay in business, and so they started making chemicals. And then Big Pharma came in, more chemicals. You started getting, these chemicals started destroying certain strains of bacterium in the stomach, in the gut, like Lactobacillus reuteri, named after the microbiologist Reuter, a German microbiologist. Lactobacillus reuteri is only in 4% of people now, and it was in everybody before 1960. And so when you learn, so I learned this from Donna Schwenk and Dr. William Davis, who wrote the book The Wheat Belly and Supergut.
Yeah,
I've had them both on my show, and that you can actually take Lactobacillus reuteri and culture it for 36 hours in yogurt and have a half cup a day, and it's freaking delicious. And your mood improves, your sleep improves, and your strength improves, and your workouts. And
I just got up on kimchi like literally 2 weeks ago, and I can't stop eating it. It's so
yeah, same thing with kimchi. We get people on fermented foods, kimchis, raw sauerkrauts, fermented foods, kefirs. We have to start recolonizing that gut microbiome. But the first step is understanding that because of those chemicals and stresses and regular modern stress and EMFs and all the things that we're dealing with, the gastrointestinal tract, those 60 trillion bacterial cells, most of them are what are called gram-positive, or supposed to be. Those are the ones that nourish and feed you and break down food, and their immune system, they're part of your immune system to protect you. But there's these other ones called gram-negative, and their job is to sit there in the corner in a very small amount and just kind of bide their time until it's time for you to die. And then they'll break your back down into the soil. They do their job. But what's happening because of the 1960s and all these chemicals, and the room has gotten cleared, and they're very opportunistic, so they've kind of filled in the gaps. So now you have way more of these gram-negative that's the dysbiosis. That's when you're out of balance in your microbiome. So the first thing is getting them back into the corner so that we can create space to start recolonizing and building back the positive ones by feeding them the prebiotics. And by the way, eating raw, uncooked vegetables is the prebiotics. So eating fresh, raw, uncooked vegetables and chewing them very, 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 very well is how you get prebiotics, or you take prebiotics, and then you start taking things like raw sauerkrauts and the kimchis and the fermented foods like we were just speaking about.
that was another. I'm sorry not to interrupt, but something I found fascinating in one of our early conversations. You had said chewing, like you just said, chew things up very, very well because digestion begins at your mouth. I had no idea. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's when you think about it, now that you know it, it's like, oh, it's common sense once you learn. It's because your mouth secretes enzymes, amylase and lipase, and that's where most of digestion happens. So if you don't secrete the enzymes, then they can't go into your stomach and break down your fat and your starch, right? Now there's pepsin and hydrochloric acid in your stomach that's going to break down your proteins, but starches and fats need amylase and lipase to break down. So I just wanted to mention this because about a few years ago, I ran into this doctor, and his dad they owned a silver mine. And when he was in his 20s, silver was kind of on its lips, and they were struggling to make a living, facing maybe shutting the whole mine down, this family business. And so he threw all this clinical research at his son. He's like, look into medical and health and see if there's some way we can sell silver over there. And his son, Keith, was like, silver for medicine? This is stupid. And so, but he started researching it, and he got enthralled with it, and he couldn't even believe what he was reading. It was like the most amazing thing ever. He got so excited about it and passionate about it. He went to school to become a naturopathic doctor, and he's been going bonkers over silver for years. Well, his dad and these guys took the silver, and they were trying to invent something else, and they accidentally invented this triple action nano silver that you can take orally now. You can put it in a gel for cuts and scrapes and burns and stuff. The listeners, you have got to go to my website at chemicalfreebody.com and look at all the product pages and look at all the data and look at the pictures of the people's skin healing of this stuff. It's unbelievable. and look at all the different bacterium that it destroys. There was a clinical study, and silver's awesome, period. Like, I've been a big proponent of colloidal silver for years, but now that I know about this stuff, I don't use colloidal at all, period. 10,000 part per million colloidal silver versus our 32 part per million triple action nanosilver against MRSA in an FDA clinical trial. Around 4 to 4.5 hours, the colloidal silver at 10,000 part per million killed the MRSA. At the first check station, at 30 minutes, the 32 part per million triple action nanosilver destroyed MRSA. And so then I was like, and that's in the trial. So we can say, based on that trial, on that first check at 30 minutes versus when MRSA was killed with the colloidal, it's 300% more effective than the colloidal. But then I'm like, well, when did it actually kill it? And I'm like, and Keith's like, look, it wasn't in the study, so we can't say this because you have to agree upon things in the study up front. You can't just change them later. They'd have to do a whole nother study. But he said it was actually dead in 10 minutes. So that's cool. But the biggest thing, Jeffrey, is that here's the thing. Me as a health coach, when I was telling people to take colloidal silver as an antimicrobial, we would only have them squirted up the nose, 2 shots up each nostril. And then do that like on plane trips and traveling every hour on the hour to protect against, getting sick or for whatever. Because if you swallow colloidal silver, it's going to kill the gram-negative and the gram-positive bacterium. It destroys everything. That's why we'd take it in through the respiratory tract to get in the bloodstream that way. But with this solution, this triple action, you could, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. And I know people have when they got really sick. You could drink the whole thing, and it won't kill the gram-positive at all. It's at a different frequency. It only destroys the gram-negative. So it is unreal, and it works on the bacterium, mold, yeast, fungus, even works on some parasites. So it's in our parasite bundle with our parasite-free product. It's unbelievable stuff.
The link to chemical-free body will be in the description here. And before I let you slide, man, you're like blowing my mind as always when I talk to you, man. That's why it's so great to catch up with you, man. We had talked off air a little bit. I've always been a big fan of saunas. Just when I used to work out a little more when I was younger, I would always love a sauna just because the basic detoxification. You're just getting out bad stuff. So you have your wet saunas, you got your dry saunas, you got your infrared sauna. So I recently picked up a dry/infrared sauna, and my understanding, you have to spend a little more time because it doesn't heat up as much. But just talk to me about the benefits of saunas, and especially these particular types of saunas that cleanse on that cellular level. Saunas,
okay. Well, first off, like a steam sauna or steam bath and stuff like that, that's going to work on your water-based organs like your bladder and kidneys and stuff like that. And I'm going to put a steam shower in the new place that I'm building, and I'm going to put 100% eucalyptus oil in there. I'll have a little bottle and I'll spray it and cloud it in there, and I'll be breathing that in every morning, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get that in. So I'm going to have that, and I love that technology. But I also, for healing and for reducing stress, far infrared saunas is the way to go. Far infrared. And the reason why is because the vibrational frequency of water in nature is infrared. And what are you mostly made of? Okay, you're mostly made of water. You're about 75% water, and 99% of your cells in your body are water cells. So got a lot of water in us, right? And so if you can increase the vibrational frequency of water in your body, what happens? Well, lots of good stuff. Clinically proven, these far infrared saunas to lose weight without changing anything. Detoxifies at the cellular level. Detoxifies and cleans out organ systems. I believe what's happening is it's shrinking shrinking the blood cells, because again, when energy goes into a water molecule, or your red blood cells that are made of water, they actually get tighter and smaller, whereas it dilates the capillaries. So if you have dormant capillaries that haven't had any blood flow in a while, it's increasing blood flow into those capillaries out towards your edge of your skin and deeper into your organ system to remove things like heavy metals, radiation, and pollution. And so you're getting blood flow in there, which then can bring nutrients and oxygen and remove toxic. And this is why when I got in the relax sauna, I started seeing gray stuff in my towel every day for a year. I was severely polluted. Yeah, I was heavy metal poisoning. I had severe heavy metal poisoning. I think that's why part of my face was like sagged down a little bit. It seems like it's improved a little bit. But anyway, so I've been a sauna dealer for like a long time, over a decade. I've installed the biggest box wood saunas. They're awesome. But the sauna that we're talking about today is 2 to 3 times more powerful. It's not about how hot it gets. It's about the core temperature, right? And so most saunas can raise, and you're going to spend $3,500 to $10,000 on a good wooden box sauna. That's just the way it is. And you might have to, and if you're getting a 3-person sauna or greater, you're going to have to pay an electrician $500 to $1,500 to run more power to that room. And it's going to take up a lot of space. And it's big, it just is what it is. Okay. And so, you're going to raise your core temperature a degree to a degree and a half. This is amazing. It's awesome. I don't know if you remember this, but quite a few years ago, 10, 12 years ago, they were doing something called hyperthermia. It was just starting over in Europe, where they would raise the core temperature of people with cancer. And this had to be under doctor's supervision. They had to give them anticonvulsion medications, but it was working. People were getting better. So many people in the United States had cancer that were finding out about this. They squawked to the FDA and said, hey, look, we want to do this here. So the FDA hired Dr. Coyne, who was developed virtual colonoscopies with like Siemens Corporation. If a doctor had 2 expertises or whatever, 2 they were considered a genius. This guy had 5. Like, he was an expert in like 5 things. And so him and about 5 or 6 other geniuses spent 5 years studying hyperthermia and also far infrared. And when they came back, Dr. Clement was like, okay, Dr. Coyne, what happened? And he's like, well, Brian, if you'll just get your patients into a far infrared sauna for 30 to 35 minutes a day, it's much more effective at killing cancer cells than the hyperthermia treatments that we studied, which, by the way, are very effective. So after that conversation, Dr. Clement plastered far infrared saunas all over his healing clinic. And then he won't even travel unless he can get into one now. He takes one every day. So I kind of followed his lead, and I've been taking one every day. When I found the relaxed sauna, what's cool about it is it's in 25 minutes, it raises your core temperature 3.2 degrees, not 1 to 1.5. So it's double to triple compared to most of the big expensive saunas. If you're looking for the healing device, the most detoxification, and the most relaxation of the nervous system, the relaxed sauna is the way to go, and they're like $1,600. And you can get a silver one. The black ones I think are like $2,000 or $2,200 or something. But the only difference is the cover's a little bit heavier and it's a different color. So for $1,600, I won't even take on a coaching client now, Jeffrey, unless they get that. I'm going to tell them, okay, this is what it costs for coaching. You're going to get these supplements, and you have to buy one of these saunas. And why do I do that? Because I know it's going to do so much heavy lifting for me. I know people are stressed out. If they get in that sauna in 25 minutes, it's going to feel like you did a 90-minute Bikram yoga class.
And I look at it as like literally like preventative healthcare. Either pay for it now,
and it weighs 32 pounds. You can take it with you. The other ones, it plugs into a 110.
But I'm just saying, if you allow your health to go bad and you get to a certain age and things start developing, I mean, the cost to have those little Monday through Monday pill cases is absolutely insane. So, I mean, again, think about the preventative nature as opposed to necessarily the price tag. And so we're just talking about the benefits of sauna. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But if you can, it's definitely something worth looking into, man.
Well, we have payment programs too for people.
There you go.
It's Timothy, under chemical free. Just under our Tim's favorites, you can find the saunas.
ChemicalFreeBody.com. Any final word, brother, man? I thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, and I got nothing but love for you. I'm so glad to catch up with you, man. We need to make it a little bit more frequent, but any final words?
Just make your health a priority. If you're suffering, you get outside the box in societal norms, parental conditioning. It's your life. If you've got children or grandchildren, you want to lead by example. Give them permission slips by getting healthy for yourself. Love yourself enough. Love yourself. Start loving yourself. And I know it sounds weird, especially to guys, to do something like that. But I had a hard time with that because that's not how I was. You're supposed to, as a guy, you're supposed to,
power through.
Take a shot of whiskey and forget about your emotions.
Right.
And toughen up.
And
stiff upper lip.
He has a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Shout it out. We'll put the link in the description. Where's your podcast?
Well, they can find it on the website at chemicalfreebody.com under media, but the show's called TimJames Unleashed, And the tagline is change yourself, change your world. Because the reality is you're going to have to become your own doctor. You're going to have to learn how to self-heal. If you want anything to happen in your life, it's up to you. Nobody's going to do it for you. I tried the other way. It don't work. Nobody cares. But do that. Just take care of yourself. Love yourself and start taking action and make your health a priority. And we have a lot of free resources for people. We give away about 80% of the stuff for free for those do-it-yourselfers or people that are challenged financially, which we know is rampant nowadays. And we're just here to help.
And I so appreciate it, man. It is Tim James, the El Jefe over at chemicalfreebody.com. Man, love you, brother, and I can't thank you enough for what you do, man. There's not, again, when I say that, altruistic agents of alchemy, there's not a lot of people out here who are transforming people's lives in the way that you do. And I have nothing but love and respect and tip of the cap for your commitment to not just your health, but educating people on their health as well.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's been 14 years since I started self-healing, and I keep learning stuff pretty much daily. So it's fun. It's a fun journey, and I love sharing with people. So thanks for having me on, and thank you, listeners, for being here. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Tim James, ladies and gentlemen, all the links in the description here. Peace and so much love. Stay tuned. You know what it is. There will always be more. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it, man. Oh, is he out of here? Oh,
I know it. They'll stay on these until they're done uploading. Mine says 99%, so it's almost done.
Yeah, no, I like this little spot. They give you like a free 2 hours every month or whatever. I'm gonna upgrade just because I got a bunch of shows to do. Actually, got to do a episode here in a minute with my Tupac.
What are you up to?
Nada, man. Just doing the same stuff, building the network. I got some, you know Jim Gale, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I got his show, Seeds of Abundance, on here. I work with those guys with their food forest abundance. I didn't want to bring it up or whatever, just might cross the streams. But yeah, just staying busy, dude. Staying busy. Got this.
I've been to Gale's Landing.
How do you like that down there, Galt's Landing?
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome. Yeah, I drove up by myself, hung out with him for a half a day, and brought my guitar. He said he's going to get a guitar and start playing. And
yeah, I was talking to I kind of work with them for their sales as far as food forest abundance for residential areas. I'm trying to lock in a bunch of school districts. I'm hollering at some churches to kind of convert some of their lands into this stuff. But I actually recently reached out to Winnebago, a couple RV companies who supposedly their mission statement jives with what we're doing to, have them donate a couple of RVs so we can set up mobile demonstrations of food forest, just cruise the country and just educate people on all this stuff, man.
That's cool.
That's kind of the plan right now, but yeah, just doing the thing. I'm a grandpa again,
That's cool. I haven't hit that level yet, but I got a oldest son with a pretty serious girlfriend. They've been together for like 6 years. So.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Crazy.
Well, I thank you, brother. I will have this up in a little bit, and I will obviously tag you, and feel free to post it on your stuff. But I would definitely want to get you back more frequently, man. I mean,
sure. Yeah, and let me know because we're starting to do ramp up. I'm getting more outreach now. So if you have other shows you can get me on too, that'd be awesome.
No, without a doubt, man. I know you have. I was going to reach out to you. I know you have your network, but you're more than welcome on this network we have here. 100 countries, 5 million streams. But I know you have your own lane. But I just provide the platform. Anybody who's doing it I look at it as a marketing platform. I always say every bit of exposure helps, especially you with something to sell and stuff. Obviously it's not about selling stuff, but anyway. The invitation's open if you ever want to put your stuff over here. But obviously, like I said, I know you have your lane. And
whatever, yeah. Tell Stephanie about it, and we'll take a peek. We're already doing the show, so it's easy just to flip it over and put it somewhere else.
Right. Like I said, some people want to drive traffic to their kind of HQ, if you will, and I totally get that. But like I say, every bit of exposure gets it out there. But yeah, we can talk about it for sure.
Okay, cool, man.
All right, Tim. I appreciate it.
Have a good weekend, brother.
You too, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.